The quantum resonance filters hummed with an almost musical precision, their soft blue light casting ethereal shadows across Zora Kelvax's workspace. Celestial horizon monitoring stations stretched around her like a cathedral of technological wonder, thousands of holographic displays tracking the infinite darkness of space. Zara's slender fingers danced across the control panel, her movements automatic after countless night shifts. Most junior communication specialists would have found the monotony unbearable, but not her. Each blip, each microscopic variation in the stellar background was a potential story waiting to be unraveled. Her grandmother's tales echoed in her memory, stories of mythical beings called humans, whispered like ancient legends passed down through generations. Beings so improbable that most of her species considered them nothing more than children's fantasy, a cultural myth to explain the unknown. The station's ambient temperature shifted slightly, a near imperceptible change that most would have missed. But Zara's heightened sensory perception, a genetic gift from her explorer lineage, caught the minute fluctuation immediately. Something was different. A microscopic disturbance rippled across the quantum resonance display, so small that it would have been dismissed as background noise by the station's automated systems. But Zara saw it. A pattern. No, not just a pattern. An anomaly. Her breath caught in her throat. The display flickered. Once. Twice. Then a third time with increasing intensity. Quantum algorithms began processing the incoming data, cross-referencing against millions of known stellar signatures. Each comparison returned the same result. Unknown. Computer, Zara said, her voice steady despite the racing of her heart. Isolate and enhance Sector 7 Gamma 9. Holographic projections expanded, revealing intricate layers of data. Spectral analysis, quantum signature, electromagnetic emissions. Each reading defied standard classification. Whatever was out there didn't conform to any known technological profile in the Galactic database. A ship signature. But not just any ship signature. The computational systems began to struggle, their complex algorithms running multiple scenarios simultaneously. Warning indicators flashed, not of danger, but of something far more profound. Something unprecedented. Zara knew the legends. Humans were supposed to be a theoretical species, a conceptual placeholder for technological potential. They existed in academic discussions, in philosophical debates about the nature of intelligent life, not as a real detectable presence. Yet here was evidence challenging everything her civilization believed. Her colleagues would laugh. The senior researchers would dismiss her findings. Political protocols demanded careful verification, layers of bureaucratic confirmation before any radical claim could be investigated. But Zara had inherited more than just enhanced sensory perception from her grandmother. She had inherited an insatiable curiosity. Her fingers moved with practiced precision, creating an isolated data capture protocol. Whatever this was, she would preserve the evidence. No algorithmic filtering, no institutional sanitization. Raw, unprocessed data that told its own story. The ship's signature pulsed again. Stronger this time. More defined. Somewhere in the vast darkness between known star systems, something was approaching. Something that didn't just challenge the established understanding of technological capabilities. Something that promised to rewrite the entire concept of galactic civilization. Zara Kelvax realized, in that moment, that her life would never be the same. The myths were real, and she was about to prove it. The data capture protocols triggered an immediate response from the station's central management system. Flashing warning indicators cascaded across Zora's display, each one a digital sentinel attempting to block her investigation. She knew the procedure. Standard protocol demanded immediate reporting of any anomalous detection. But standard protocol had never uncovered anything truly revolutionary. Zara's fingers moved with surgical precision, creating nested encryption layers around her captured data. Each algorithm was a delicate dance of misdirection, sliding the precious information into blind spots within the station's massive computational network. Anomalous data packet requires immediate review, she muttered, mimicking the standard reporting language while ensuring her unique findings remained protected. The station's senior researcher, Director Krull Nex, would arrive soon. He was known for his ruthless suppression of anything that challenged established scientific understanding. Zara had watched him dismantle careers of promising researchers who dared to suggest possibilities beyond accepted knowledge. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. An encrypted message appeared in her personal communication queue from Administrator Lyra Voss, her grandmother's oldest friend and a legendary researcher herself. Meet me in Archive Chamber 3. Bring nothing. Speak to no one. The message dissolved seconds after reading, leaving no trace. Archive Chamber 3. The restricted section few knew existed, a repository of forgotten knowledge, sealed records and memories too dangerous for public consumption. Zara's heart raced. Her hands trembled slightly as she completed her data encryption. The mysterious ship's signature remained locked away, safe from institutional scrutiny. The station's environmental systems hummed with controlled precision. Holographic displays continued their endless dance of stellar coordinates, betraying nothing of the extraordinary moment unfolding. She moved deliberately, her movements calculated to appear routine. Years of training in diplomatic communication served her well. No sudden movements, no signs of excitement, just another junior specialist completing her night shift. The archive chambers existed in a liminal space between official records and forgotten history. Constructed during a period of significant galactic political restructuring, they held secrets that could reshape entire understanding of technological and cultural development. Administrator Voss waited in the shadows, her silhouette barely visible against the chamber's massive data storage units. Rows of crystalline memory cores stretched into darkness, each containing centuries of compressed information. "You saw it," Voss stated. It wasn't a question. Zara nodded, her throat suddenly dry. "The ship's signature. It's unlike anything in our databases." A weathered hand emerged from the darkness, holding a data crystal so old its edges were slightly worn. "Humans," Voss whispered, "are not what your academic records suggest." The crystal contained fragments, transmission logs, technological schematics, partial communication records that defied current understanding of interstellar communication protocols. These were sealed during the great institutional restructuring, Voss continued. Documented encounters that challenged everything our civilization believed about technological potential. Zara's mind reeled. Each fragment suggested a narrative far more complex than the mythological stories she'd grown up hearing. Humans were not just a theoretical concept. They were a documented, though deliberately forgotten, reality. "Why hide this?" Zara asked, her voice a careful whisper. Voss's eyes gleamed with a mixture of fear and excitement. Some knowledge is too dangerous when released without context. Some truths can reshape entire civilizational understanding. The data crystal pulsed with a soft, rhythmic light. Each pulse seemed to carry centuries of suppressed information, waiting to be understood. Somewhere beyond the station's protective shields, the mysterious ship continued its approach, a physical manifestation of a truth long hidden, challenging everything Zora thought she knew about her universe. Her journey of discovery had only just begun. The research laboratory hummed with a controlled intensity that masked the revolutionary work happening within its pristine walls. Zara's custom-built analysis system consumed the fragments from the ancient data crystal, its quantum processors working at the absolute limits of computational possibility. Each line of code was a potential revelation, each processed fragment a challenge to establish scientific understanding. The human communication protocols defied everything her civilization knew about interstellar information transfer. Traditional quantum encryption looked like primitive scratches compared to the elegant complexity of these transmissions. Multiple layers of communication existed simultaneously, linguistic, mathematical, and something entirely beyond traditional communication models. "Impossible," she whispered, tracing the intricate data patterns. Her custom algorithm, developed over months of clandestine research, began to unravel the first meaningful patterns. The human communication wasn't just a method of information exchange. It was a living, adaptive system that modified itself in real time. A soft alert interrupted her concentration. Director Krell-Nex's digital signature was accessing the research wing's access logs. Zara's fingers moved with practiced speed, redirecting potential surveillance traces and creating digital shadows to mask her true research. The political machinery of the celestial governance would stop at nothing to suppress anything that challenged their established narratives. Zara understood the stakes. Her grandmother's stories had prepared her for this moment. Tales of researchers who disappeared, of knowledge that was too dangerous to be acknowledged. Her analysis system pinged. A breakthrough. The human communication protocol contained what could only be described as adaptive learning matrices. Each transmission carried multiple levels of information, not just the surface-level communication, but contextual understanding, predictive modeling, and something that resembled technological empathy. Technological empathy. The concept itself was revolutionary. Most advanced civilizations approached communication as a mechanical process, information transferred, signals interpreted. But these human transmissions suggested something far more dynamic, a living, breathing system of understanding that could anticipate, adapt, and evolve. The door to her research chamber slid open. Dr. Mirax Solon, her mentor and the station's most unconventional researcher, entered with deliberate casualness. "Interesting findings?" he asked, his voice carefully neutral. Zara knew better than to reveal everything. "Anomalous communication protocols," she responded, matching his measured tone. "Nothing conclusive." Mirax's eyes caught the subtle quantum fluctuations on her display, a momentary flash of recognition, of understanding. "The governance will not appreciate such curiosity," he said softly. Political suppression was an art form in their civilization. Careers could be dismantled with a single administrative directive. Research could be erased. Memories could be reconstructed. But Zara had something they couldn't control. The data crystal. The fragments of a history deliberately forgotten. And now, these extraordinary communication protocols that suggested humans were something far more than a mythological concept. Her analysis system continued its work. Each processed fragment revealed another layer of complexity. The human transmission wasn't just communication. It was a form of technological poetry. Mathematical elegance combined with adaptive intelligence. Somewhere beyond the station's protective shields, the mysterious ship continued its approach. A physical manifestation of a truth that could reshape everything her civilization believed about intelligence, communication, and the nature of technological evolution. Zara Kelvac smiled. The real investigation was just beginning. The communication chamber stretched before Zara like a cathedral of possibility. Quantum resonance chambers lined the walls, each calibrated to frequencies that pushed the boundaries of known communication technologies. Her custom-built translation matrix represented months of secret development. Layers of algorithmic complexity designed to bridge not just linguistic barriers, but fundamental conceptual differences between species. Initiating first contact protocol, she murmured, her fingers dancing across holographic controls. The human ship's signal pulsed with an almost organic rhythm. Not a mechanical transmission, but something alive. Adaptive. Intelligent in ways her civilization had never conceptualized. Her first transmission was carefully constructed. Mathematical constants, universal physical principles, a linguistic handshake designed to establish basic communication parameters. The response came faster than any computational model had predicted. Not just a response, a conversation. The human communication system didn't just receive and reply, it analyzed, adapted, transformed the very nature of the communication itself with each microsecond of interaction. Zara's translation matrix began to strain. The incoming transmission carried multiple layers of meaning simultaneously. Linguistic content, contextual understanding, predictive modeling, emotional nuance. Emotional nuance in a technological transmission. The chamber's environmental systems began to fluctuate. Quantum entanglement sensors detected something unprecedented. The communication itself was generating measurable energy patterns. Director, a trembling assistant's voice came through the communication system. You need to see this. The transmission was rewriting the fundamental understanding of communication technology. Each layer revealed another level of complexity. Mathematical language intertwined with contextual understanding. Predictive models that seemed to anticipate questions before they were fully formed. Dr. Mirak Solon entered the chamber, his typically composed demeanor replaced by barely contained excitement. "It's adapting," he whispered. "The communication protocol is learning faster than our systems can process." The human transmission carried something beyond pure information, a sense of curiosity, of openness, of fundamental respect that transcended traditional communication models. Zara's translation matrix struggled to capture the nuance. Words were insufficient, mathematical models inadequate. This was communication as a living, breathing system of understanding. Political protocols demanded careful, measured response. Institutional guidelines suggested extreme caution with any unknown technological encounter. But Zara understood something deeper was happening. The human ship wasn't just sending a message, it was attempting to understand, to connect, to bridge a gap that seemed impossible. Quantum entanglement sensors began to detect something extraordinary. The communication itself was generating a form of shared cognitive space, not just an exchange of information, but a collaborative process of mutual understanding. "We're witnessing something unprecedented," Mirax muttered, his fingers tracing the complex transmission patterns. The transmission carried layers of meaning that defied traditional communication models. Mathematical precision, linguistic flexibility, emotional intelligence, adaptive learning capabilities, predictive understanding. Each moment of communication revealed another layer of complexity. The human communication system wasn't just sending information, it was creating a bridge of understanding that transcended traditional technological limitations. Zara realized they were experiencing something more than first contact. This was a fundamental reimagining of what communication could be. Somewhere beyond the station's protective shields, the human ship continued its approach. A physical manifestation of a truth that could reshape everything her civilization believed about intelligence, communication, and the nature of connection itself. The real conversation was just beginning. The diplomatic conference room felt like a pressure chamber of unspoken tensions. Zara stood at the periphery, her data tablets carefully arranged to mask the depth of her true research. Senior administrators from across the celestial governance filled the circular chamber, their integrated communication implants creating a subtle background hum of suppressed communication. Director Krell next dominated the space, his imposing figure a physical manifestation of institutional resistance. "The anomalous signal," he began, his voice carefully modulated, "requires comprehensive investigation under strict protocols. Translation: suppress, contain, minimize." Zara watched the political dance with practiced neutrality. Years of diplomatic training had taught her the art of invisible observation. Each administrator's subtle body language told a story far more complex than their official statements. Administrator Lyra Voss, her grandmother's old ally, sat with calculated relaxation. Her eyes met Zara's for a microsecond. A silent communication that spoke volumes. The human communication protocols continued to challenge every computational model. Each analysis revealed layers of complexity that defied traditional understanding. The transmission wasn't just a method of communication, it was a living system of mutual understanding. "We've identified multiple anomalous characteristics," Zara presented, her voice steady. "The communication matrix demonstrates adaptive learning capabilities beyond our current technological framework." Murmurs rippled through the chamber, fear masked as scientific skepticism. Director Nex's implant flickered, a telltale sign of suppressed emotional response. "Elaborate," he demanded. Zara activated her primary display. Quantum communication patterns danced across the holographic projection. mathematical sequences intertwined with linguistic structures, creating a visualization that was part scientific diagram, part artistic expression. The human communication system didn't just transfer information, it created bridges of understanding. The transmission carries multiple simultaneous layers of meaning, she explained. Linguistic content, contextual analysis, predictive modeling, and something our current models struggle to classify, a form of communicative empathy. Communicative empathy. The phrase hung in the air, challenging everything the celestial governance understood about intelligent communication. Dr. Mirak Solon leaned forward, supporting her presentation. This isn't just a communication protocol. It's a collaborative understanding system. Political tensions crackled beneath the surface. Some administrators looked intrigued. Others appeared terrified. The human ship remained at the edge of their detection range, a physical manifestation of a truth that could reshape their entire understanding of technological and cultural potential. Zara knew the real battle wasn't technological. It was psychological. Her grandmother's stories echoed in her mind. Tales of scientific discoveries that challenged entire civilizational paradigms, of knowledge so transformative it could rewrite the fundamental understanding of existence. The implications are profound, she continued. This communication system suggests intelligence that adapts, learns, and connects in ways we've never conceptualized. Administrator Voss spoke for the first time. And what do you recommend? The question hung in the air, a diplomatic minefield. Zara chose her words with surgical precision. Continued open communication, collaborative investigation, an approach of mutual respect and genuine curiosity. Director Nex's implant flashed red, a sign of suppressed emotional response. Fear, excitement, institutional resistance. The chamber fell silent. Somewhere beyond their protective shields, the human ship continued its approach, a physical manifestation of a truth that could reshape everything they believed about intelligence, communication, and the nature of connection itself. The real negotiation was just beginning. The moment of true understanding arrived without fanfare. Celestial Horizon Station's primary communication chamber transformed into a crucible of unprecedented possibility. Zara stood at the epicenter, her entire career, her entire understanding of the universe, balanced on the edge of a single transmission. The human ship's communication matrix had been slowly revealing its extraordinary nature. But nothing prepared them for what happened next. A direct neural interface request emerged within their communication protocols. Not an invasion, not a threat. A request, an invitation to genuine understanding. Most institutional systems would have immediately rejected such a radical communication approach, but Zara's custom matrix, developed through months of secret research, recognized the profound opportunity. Initiating collaborative interface, she murmured, her fingers moving with surgical precision across quantum communication nodes. The interface was unlike anything in recorded galactic communication history, not a simple data transfer, but a complex, multi-dimensional exchange of understanding. Linguistic patterns merged with mathematical models. Emotional nuance intertwined with computational logic. Administrator Voss watched from the observation chamber, her ancient eyes wide with a mixture of terror and profound excitement. The human communication system didn't just share information. It created a bridge of mutual comprehension that transcended traditional technological limitations. Technological barriers dissolved. Cultural misconceptions crumbled. Director Krell Nex, who had spent his entire career suppressing revolutionary ideas, found himself witnessing a moment that would redefine their entire civilization's understanding of intelligent communication. Layers of meaning unfolded simultaneously. Linguistic communication, mathematical precision, emotional intelligence, adaptive learning capabilities, predictive understanding. The interface revealed something profound. Humans weren't just another technological species. They were architects of connection. Their communication system carried an inherent respect, a fundamental understanding that true knowledge emerges from mutual exploration, not conquest, not domination, but genuine curiosity. Zara's neural pathways expanded. Her understanding of communication transformed at a fundamental level. The human transmission carried memories, not just data. Memories that were living, breathing experiences, cultural narratives that spoke of resilience, of adaptation, of a fundamental belief in collaborative potential. It's not just communication, Dr. Mirak Solon whispered, his voice filled with wonder. It's a philosophy of connection. The station's computational systems struggled to process the depth of information. Multiple layers of understanding emerged simultaneously. Historical contexts, technological innovations, cultural evolution. A civilization that had transformed challenge into opportunity. Director Nex's carefully constructed worldview began to crumble. Institutional resistance met its ultimate challenge, a form of intelligence that defied every established model of understanding. The human ship remained at the edge of their detection range, but now it was more than a technological anomaly. It was a living testament to the potential of intelligent connection. Zora understood something profound. This wasn't just first contact. This was a fundamental reimagining of what intelligence could mean. Communication as a living, breathing system of mutual understanding. The transmission carried an implicit invitation, not to submit, not to conquer, but to explore, to understand, to grow together. Somewhere beyond the station's protective shields, the human ship continued its approach, a physical manifestation of a truth that could reshape everything her civilization believed about intelligence, communication, and the nature of connection itself. The real journey was just beginning. The research facility hummed with a new energy. Weeks had passed since the extraordinary communication breakthrough, and Zara Kelvax found herself at the epicenter of a civilizational transformation. Her workspace had become a sanctuary of discovery. Walls covered with holographic displays traced the intricate patterns of human communication, each projection a testament to an understanding that defied previous scientific models. It's not just technology, she explained to a group of senior researchers, her voice carrying the excitement of genuine discovery. It's a completely different approach to intelligence. The human communication matrix had become more than a subject of study. It was a philosophical revolution. Traditional institutional research had always approached intelligence as a fixed concept, measurable, quantifiable, predictable. The human communication system shattered those assumptions with elegant complexity. Their approach to understanding was fundamentally different, not a linear process of information transfer, but a dynamic, adaptive system of mutual exploration. Each communication carried layers of meaning that went beyond simple data exchange. Administrator Lyra Voss watched from the periphery, her ancient eyes filled with a mixture of wonder and vindication. She recognized the magnitude of what was unfolding, a moment that would redefine their entire civilization's understanding of intelligence. The research facility had become a crucible of transformation. Researchers from different disciplines converged, their traditional boundaries dissolving in the face of this extraordinary discovery. Linguistic experts discovered communication patterns that defied traditional language models. Computational specialists encountered adaptive systems that challenged every existing algorithm. Philosophers grappled with a new understanding of consciousness and connection. Zara's primary research display showed the evolution of their understanding. Each day brought new revelations. The human communication system wasn't just a technological marvel. It was a living philosophy of connection, an approach that saw intelligence as a collaborative, adaptive process rather than a fixed state of being. They don't just communicate, Dr. Mirak Solon observed during one of their research sessions. They create understanding. Institutional barriers began to crumble. The celestial governance, once a bastion of rigid thinking, found itself forced to reevaluate fundamental assumptions about intelligence, communication, and potential. Director Krell Nex, who had once been the most significant obstacle to this research, now sat quietly during briefings. The transformation of his worldview was visible in every subtle movement. The human ship remained at the edge of their detection range, but now it was more than a technological anomaly. It was a living invitation to a broader understanding of existence. Zara's research revealed multiple layers of profound insight. Communication as a collaborative process, intelligence as an adaptive, dynamic system, understanding as a mutual exploration, connection as a fundamental philosophical approach, knowledge as a living, evolving entity. Cultural archives were re-examined, historical records reinterpreted. The myths of humans, once dismissed as mere children's stories, now stood as prophetic glimpses of a profound truth. We were looking in the wrong direction. Zara told a gathering of senior researchers. Intelligence isn't about what you know. It's about how you approach not knowing. The human communication system carried an implicit lesson. Embrace uncertainty. Celebrate complexity. See connection as the highest form of intelligence. Somewhere between scientific discovery and philosophical revelation, a new understanding was emerging. Not just of humans, but of the fundamental nature of intelligence itself. Administrator Voss approached Zara during a quiet moment. "Your grandmother would be proud," she whispered, her voice carrying the weight of generations of suppressed knowledge. The research facility continued its work, each day bringing new revelations, each moment expanding the boundaries of understanding. The real journey was just beginning. The diplomatic chamber gleamed with a sense of anticipation that defied traditional institutional protocols. Zara Kelvac stood at the center, no longer just a junior researcher, but a bridge between two fundamentally different approaches to existence. The human delegation arrived not with displays of technological might, but with an openness that challenged every preconceived notion of first contact. Their communication was an invitation, not to submission, not to conquest, but to genuine understanding. Administrator Lyra Voss watched from the sidelines, her ancient eyes reflecting a lifetime of suppressed knowledge finally finding its moment of revelation. Director Krell Nex, once the most rigid of institutional guardians, now sat with a humility that spoke of a profound transformation. "We come not to demonstrate," the human representative began, their communication matrix creating a holographic representation that was simultaneously linguistic, mathematical, and deeply emotional, but to explore the potential of mutual understanding. The chamber fell silent. Decades of institutional barriers began to dissolve. The myths of humans, once dismissed as children's stories, now stood as a testament to a profound truth about the nature of intelligence and connection. Zara's research had prepared them for this moment, but no preparation could fully capture the extraordinary nature of the encounter. The human approach was fundamentally different from any known diplomatic protocol. Collaborative rather than competitive, adaptive instead of fixed, focused on mutual growth, celebrating complexity, embracing uncertainty. Dr. Mirak Solon leaned forward, his lifetime of scientific exploration culminating in this singular moment of discovery. The human delegation demonstrated something beyond technological capability. They showed a philosophy of existence. Communication became a living, breathing entity. Not a tool, not a weapon, but a bridge of understanding. The celestial governance found itself transformed. Institutional barriers that had stood for generations crumbled in the face of this new approach to intelligence. "We offer not technology," the human representative continued, "but a method of understanding, a way of seeing potential in difference." Zara understood the profound nature of the moment. This wasn't just first contact. This was a fundamental reimagining of what connection could mean. The human ship, once a mysterious anomaly, now represented something far more significant, an invitation to a broader understanding of existence. Administrator Voss approached the human delegation, her movements carrying the weight of generations of suppressed knowledge. "We have much to learn," she said, her voice a mixture of humility and excitement. Director Nex, who had spent his entire career suppressing revolutionary ideas, found himself witnessing a moment of profound transformation. His lifetime of institutional resistance dissolved in the face of this extraordinary encounter. The diplomatic chamber became a crucible of possibility. Scientific disciplines merged. Cultural barriers dissolved. A new approach to understanding began to emerge. Zara realized this was more than a diplomatic encounter. This was the beginning of a new chapter in their civilization's evolution. The human delegation's communication carried an implicit promise, not of conquest, not of technological superiority, but of collaborative potential. We see intelligence not as a destination, they explained, but as a journey of mutual exploration. Somewhere between scientific discovery and philosophical revelation, a new understanding was emerging, not just of humans, but of the fundamental nature of connection itself. Dr. Solon whispered to Zara, "Your grandmother would have loved this moment." The chamber resonated with a sense of profound possibility. Each representative, human and alien alike, understood they were witnessing something extraordinary. A new way of seeing, a new way of understanding, a new way of existing. The real journey was just beginning.